Hello. So I am really excited because today I'm going to video my very own 21 tarot questions. This is a tag that was started by Lisa Pepez, one of my favorite YouTube tarot readers. I already wrote down my responses, so hopefully I'll move through this at a decent speed. Question 1 is a deck that they'll have to pry from my cold, dead hands. This would be the Riderless Tarot, probably the full size, but I honestly really love a pocket edition as well. So this is the box. The reason why they would have to pry this deck from my cold, dead hands is because, let me get this in focus. This deck is the one that I use to get messages from my horse who died in October of last year. And so obviously it just has that special meaning to me. I love the artwork, but beyond that, it's that I really feel like using these cards helps me to talk with her. And for that reason, this deck you'll have to pry from my cold, dead hands. Oh, and the other reason why I really love this deck as well, this deck doesn't have a guidebook, or if it does, it's just the PDF, so I don't really use it, but I just find that I can actually read with this deck without the booklet. Normally, I always rely on the booklet, at least just to double check and see if my interpretations are on the right track, but with this deck, I don't have a book, and I just don't ever feel like I'm missing anything. I feel like the messages that come from it are super clear. Okay. I must have been oh, okay. So, all right, well, I missed some of the ones I wanted, but two of the cards that I pulled right after she died were the Four of Pentacles and the Four of Wands. And the Four of Pentacles actually looks just like her. And I know sometimes that card refers to greed or being like hoarding things. I felt like from these cards, as well as the other ones that were in the spread, that it meant that, I don't know, just that she knows I gave her everything that I could to make her happy. And I don't want to get too much into it because otherwise I'll start getting upset. But this is why this deck is so special to me. My guilty pleasure deck. It's the Final Rose Tarot. It's not super guilty because I held off on buying it for a really long time. It was almost an impulse buy the very first time that I saw it, but then I was like, I had good self-control and I didn't buy it. I got it as a present for myself, I think, because I submitted my first manuscript, and it's just kind of a silly deck overall. So it's got this really pretty bright gold gilding, and it's meant to be all about like love. Basically, the theme is like the Bachelor or Bachelorette, which I don't even watch those shows, but I wanted a deck for like relationship readings. And so I finally got this deck. I haven't actually used it in a reading yet, but sorry, I got so sidetracked because I forgot about how they have these keywords that are all kind of relevant to like a dating show. So what's this? The single mom. Shoulder to cry on. Cheers. First kiss is the Ace of Flutes. So yeah, there's different terminology. They don't do wands or anything of the originals. They do rings, flutes, mirrors. What's the last one? Did I say roses? Rings, flutes, roses. Okay, yeah, so that was the last one. But anyway, it's just kind of like a silly little deck, just for fun. And it was a bit pricey, which I don't mind paying because the cardstock is really nice. But yeah, so this is my guilty pleasure deck. Next is a deck that I wish existed, and so obviously it doesn't exist. Honestly, I had a really hard time thinking about what I would do for this deck. I don't know, maybe I'm just not that imaginative, but I also kind of just feel like I have all the decks that I would want. Maybe one that would be cool, it's kind of like the one actually that Lisa Pepez is making, but a little bit different, would be to have like a divine horse tarot where you have like Pegasus for one suit, unicorns for another, and you can do, I mean, unicorns from different countries. Like I know Chinese unicorns look very different than like the traditional American view of what a unicorn looks like. And I don't know, I think those are, I don't know, but that's it for that one. Okay, the deck that I would give to a brand new reader is the same one that was my first deck, which is the Spiritsong Tarot. And this is probably another one that they'd have to also pry from my cold dead hands, because this is a deck that I learned to read tarot with. And it's just, honestly, the first couple of times I used it, it gave me chills when I got my messages, and it also like brought me to tears a couple times. So, I mean, this deck is so, like, it reads very gently, but it also doesn't hold anything back, is how I feel with it. Like, it always tells me like it is, but in a way that's, you know, it doesn't ever make me feel bad. So this is the one I would recommend to a brand new reader. Deck that I want to get along with but never clicked is this. It's another indie deck. This is the PokeTarot. I wanted this to work so badly, but it didn't. It just doesn't, because I didn't realize when I was getting it that I was getting a pip deck. The majors are all Pokemon, which is really cool, but the minors are like pentacles are Pokeballs, I think. Oops, sorry. And see, here's like a major, so it's Eevee as the world, and there's wands, which are the like flutes. Cups are potions. Yeah, pentacles are Pokeballs or something. Then you have justice. I didn't realize that is my fault for not reading carefully enough. And so I tried like, okay, maybe this is a good deck to write meanings on, because I literally just wasn't using it, because there's no guidebook that comes with it either. So I was like, okay, maybe I should just try writing meanings on it, because I was still pretty new at tarot when I first got it, and I still just haven't used it. But I have to say that I do love the idea of these cards, and I actually requested a custom card, a few customs actually, from the maker. It's Diometric on Instagram. So I got my dog, one of my dogs' name is Vulpix, and I named her that because actually Ninetales is my favorite Pokemon, but I just thought that was a weird name for a dog, so I named her Vulpix instead. The creator had some rules of like, you can only design majors or something, so I had to pick a major, and it was between Strength and the Star, because I got my puppy Vulpix at one of the hardest times of my life, and I feel like both of these cards embody like all the things that I learned from her. So those are my two customs. So I want to get along with this deck, but it just doesn't happen. Deck that I keep only for the art. I have written down ones here, but I don't agree with them. I'm gonna say it's actually the Funny Little Lizard Tarot. You have this really cute blue, matte blue edging, and it's lizards. I mean, I don't think I really need to explain much more than that. It's a really nice cardstock. I backed this one on Kickstarter because I actually work with reptiles and I have a pet iguana. And so, yeah, I would have never gotten this if it wasn't a complete lizard deck. But I still use it. Like, I haven't used it as much yet, but I like it and I plan on using it. But I guess it still can be said that I keep it for the artwork. Look at that one. So, yep, that is the funny little lizard tarot. Look at those edges. I love that. Oh, question 7. Bought because everyone else did. This one is the Tarot of Curious Creatures. And I mean, I guess everyone else maybe isn't really everyone, but the main YouTubers that do tarot that I watch are Eso Tarot, Vanessa Samina, and Lisa Papez. And they do pick a card, well, not Lisa, but the other two do pick a card readings. And every time this deck back was being shown in like the cover image of the video, I always picked this deck. And so I kept seeing it on their channels, and then Lisa herself did a like walkthrough of this deck, and it convinced me. And so at that point, I just went ahead and bought it. Because normally I don't like humans. Like, I don't like a human-animal combination. I just want either humans with animals or just animals, but not combined. But yeah, after watching the walkthrough and everything, I decided to give it a try because clearly I was drawn to it for some reason. And this is another one that I haven't gotten to use as much, but I started reading the guidebook, and I really enjoyed the guidebook a lot. My guide for this deck is the Magician, if I can find him. Where is he? Where'd it go? So yeah, the very beginning, there he is. The very beginning of the guidebook tells you to go through the cards, I think, and pick your guide. And so mine is the Magician. And it's funny because I don't normally like the Magician card in any other deck. Like, it's just not that exciting to me, but this deck I do. So this is the deck that I bought because everyone else was buying it. Okay, question 8. Okay, Over My Head Baffles Me. That is definitely going to be one of my newest decks, the Squid Cake Marseilles. This is my first and only Marseille deck, and I mean, it's so cute that I'm just happy that I have it. Like, okay, those are the backs. Super cute. And then I just really like the images, especially all of the knights. They're using like snails and frogs instead of horses, which just really amuses me for some reason, if I can find one. Oh yeah, this one's like on a chicken. So it's just a really funny deck, but it is, the guidebook really tries to be helpful. Like, for example, 7 of Swords. If I were to look that up in the guidebook, where? Swords. Here. So this guidebook is nice because it gives you a description of the meaning, and then it also explains visually what has changed between this one and the card before it. I wish I could have another card, but like, I think I actually did pull these ones, the 6 and the 7. So if the 6 says, the sword fences didn't stand a chance despite how heavily they were built. The sword penetrated once again, and this time it was your ambition alone that pushed through them like butter. So, I mean, okay, it's talking about the sword in the middle here, because in the one, oh, this is the 5. Whoops. Okay, so now 6. Things feel pretty balanced. The sword fencing matches the weight of the flower. The strawberries are given some room to grow as well. Just because you are limited in some way doesn't mean you can't still do the things you're trying to do. Okay, then we get to the 7. Thick fencing has been created by the swords, yet another sword is infiltrating these boundaries. It takes a lot of effort to get through the thick walls, but if the fight is worth it, then go for it. I don't know. To me, I just don't see it. It's just, maybe I don't pay enough attention to the details. I mean, maybe I just need more practice with it, but as of right now, I'm just like, I would never derive that those meanings from these images. So that is the deck that is over my head. For decks that surprised me, I actually have two. First, the Cat Tarot. I was surprised at how direct and like easily understandable these messages were. Because one, I don't even really like cats that much. I more so wanted it because, I mean, one day I want to do readings like on YouTube maybe. And so I had I had a dog oracle deck and a cat oracle deck, and then a dog tarot deck, but no cat tarot deck. So I got this one thinking like probably wouldn't use it until I started doing YouTube stuff, but I have used it a couple times now, and I actually really enjoyed the readings that I did with it. So sorry about the glossy cover. So that was one I definitely was not expecting to like as much as I do. And then the other one, less of a surprise, but the other one is the Game of Thrones Tarot. As I started like doing tarot more and more and really trying to learn the meanings, I thought to myself, it makes sense to use this deck because I know these characters. I watched the show. And so it really helps in interpreting the meanings when it's people that people in quotes, that I know. And a lot of their choices for each, like which person is displayed or which scene is displayed, just makes sense to me. Like Queen of Wands, Daenerys, duh. And like because of that, it really helps me understand the meanings more easily, I guess, than I do with most of my other decks. Ugh. And then this one kills me though. This Nine of Swords is Greywind when he's trapped and about to be killed at the phrase when they kill everybody during the Red Wedding. I literally almost stopped watching Game of Thrones after that because it upset me so much, but clearly I kept watching. So those are the two decks that have surprised me. Doesn't work for me, but I keep, because it's a collectible. I wasn't really sure, like I don't know if I actually have anything that could be considered a collectible. I guess honestly the Poke deck would be the one I would say, just because it technically is collectible because there's all different generations for each majors. So the majors that I have are Gen 1 and Gen 2. And then I also have the majors of the evolutions. But then they also have other majors that are associated with Gens 3 and 4, which I don't really know. That was when I kind of outgrew Pokemon a little bit. So I guess this one. My favorite gilded deck, honestly, I kind of surprised myself with this one, but it's the Pastel Journey by Vanessa Samina. I have a lot of gilded decks and I do love all of them, but this is the only like silver holographic gilding that I have. And I mean, you can see how cool it is. And then there's also like the foil stamping. Yeah, and I love this cardstock. Like just the sound of it is like ASMR. And the images are really cute too. So that is my favorite gilded deck. Number 12. Love the deck. Hate cardstock. So initially I had put down an oracle deck, but obviously this is supposed to be tarot, so I would say the cat tarot deck. I've spent a lot of time just shuffling it over and over so that it's at least like usable, but in general, I don't like glossy cards. I like matte, and not only is it glossy, it's also like weirdly stiff. like it's not easy to shuffle, and then there's already some issues on the edge there, and not to mention it's not gilded. I do love a gilded deck, so yeah, this one. Love the deck, hate the card stock. I do love the box though, with the little cat. Question 13 gives me the willies. That would be, without a doubt, the Hush Tarot. Man, I got this deck because I really wanted to use it for shadow work, and I initially was really drawn to the imagery, but then when I actually got it and actually wanted to do shadow work with it, it was just way too dark for me to actually use. I'm try and find some of the cards that really freaked me out the most. There's a couple where it's like a dead human eye just like staring at you. Like some of the images are okay, but the ones that are bad are like really bad. That one I don't mind. It's fine. I think it's swords. Okay, that one, dislike. That one, really dislike. There's still a worse one, though. I do actually love this 10 of Swords, but... Not a fan. Not the worst. What the heck? I want to find that card, though. Okay, don't like this Hanged Man. The weird killer mask. Don't like this Devil. These aren't the ones, though. I do like the Sun and Moon cards. There's literally one specific card that made me be like, I can't do this. I cannot get past this card. That's the one I want to find. This. Ugh, God. It's kind of easy to overlook at first, but ugh. My God, yeah, I hate that card, and I decided, no, this deck is not going to work for me. My favorite deck for shadow work, question 14. I would say probably the Spiritsong, because I know I'm going to get an honest answer, but that it's not going to be too harsh. So I would say this is probably the best one for that. Love in theory, but not in practice for question 15. Probably again, the PokeTarot, especially because I went through the trouble of writing all of the meanings, the upright and the reversed meanings. So I really had every intention of using this deck to learn, and I still could, but yeah, I just didn't. I do think that the process of writing out all the meanings was probably helpful, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, love it in theory, just not in practice. But yeah, I literally went through every single card, wrote out all the meanings. So I should really try to use it. I think I'm going to practice. I'm going to see if I can gild this deck myself, because if I ruin it, then it doesn't really matter because I still don't use it anyway. So I feel like it might be a good deck to try that out on. Okay, the deck that I would never use for someone else would probably be either the Poke deck, the Lizard deck, just because I don't think I have a lot of friends or other people in my life that feel the same way as me about lizards. But also, I don't know, I feel like I wouldn't use this one to read for someone else just because It's a lot. It's a lot to look at. I love using this deck for myself, but I don't think I would ever like bring this to a friend's house if they wanted me to do their tarot readings. Except probably my best friend. I would bring it to my best friend's house, but that's it. There's just a little too much going on otherwise. And there's also like a penis in a couple of pictures that's a little awkward. Yeah, well, whatever. I can't find it, but this deck would be for close friends only. And it's the, what is this tarot deck even called? I forget the name. I'll write it in the description box because I can't remember it right now. Okay, never use for myself. Again, Poke deck. I just don't use it, sadly. Maybe I can like make it a goal to use it a certain amount of times over the next month, and then I can update my channel on how it's been going. Maybe I'll try that. The deck that I could not bring myself to buy is the True Black Tarot. I love this deck, and I actually did buy like a sample card of it, but in order to buy it and ship it here is like over $80, and that's just kind of where I draw the line apparently, because I've paid like $60 for a deck before, $65 even, but I guess that's my limit. I don't go above that for a single deck. My favorite pip deck, I don't really have pip decks because I don't really like them. I mean, my only options really are Squid Cake and PokeTarot, and if I had to pick, I don't think I could, because I dislike pip decks in general. So I like kind of weaseled my way out of that. I guess I would pick the Squid Cake just because it's small and cute, and it's not written all over it, and it has matte gilded edges. So the Squid Cake Marseilles. Although, is Marseille considered a pip deck? I don't even know. Or is it just its own category? The deck that slaps me with the truth, Threads of Fate, the Weaver Tarot. This deck is just so direct, and I do appreciate it for that reason. And I actually do use it for shadow work sometimes, but it can just be a little harsh because it truly does slap you with the truth. I love the artwork and the rainbow holographic with the matte edges, matte black edges. It just is such a cool deck, but it is kind of hard to use because it's too big for my hands. But yeah, this deck is just so straightforward, to the point. I have to use the guidebook usually, but as soon as I get to the meaning, I'm like, oh, yep, that makes sense. It's just very to the point. Slaps me with the truth. So that is the Weaver Tarot from Threads of Fate. Question 21, the deck that got away. I would say for this, it is the Lost Forest Tarot. Again, I'll try and find some pictures online to put up, but I love the artwork. It is kind of dark, but dark in a way that feels still like kind of fantastical. Like you're in kind of like a world of Game of Thrones almost, where there's magic and stuff, but there's definitely like a darker undertone. I don't think they make it anymore, and I don't think it's going to be coming back. So, yeah. All right, well, this was my video response to Lisa Papa's 21 tarot questions. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.